I'm going to get started with a couple of light notes to help explain what we're doing today and what the plan is for what comes next. There have been various activities that we have been working on for a while. The education pack for suppliers, the online training course, and of course our recent survey. The first thing I should do is give you an update on the online training course. So LF Training has the material we have provided, and they are preparing it for edX. I'm waiting for them to come back with questions or queries about extra information that they need. So far, everything is looking great, and with a little bit of luck, I hope our course will be ready in the next couple of weeks. In case you're not familiar, this online training course will be free and available on edX.com. It's basically an updated version of our training slides. And the purpose of the course is to allow any individual or organization to have a nice, neat, polished open source compliance training available without any strings, costs, or anything like that. But yes, we're waiting on some more information from LF Training on the specifics of this, about what needs to be done next. Now, the thing I want to talk about in a minute is our supplier education pack, which is ready and has had some feedback already from our teams. But before we do that, I wanted to jump into the OpenChain survey. We've been running a survey for OpenChain in the first quarter, and the survey is ready for publication now. I wanted to give you a sneak peek of where we're at. We've had some really nice feedback from people regarding things like engaging with the OpenChain project and standard. Our general responses were very good or excellent, which I think was a very rewarding output. Interestingly, some of the data we got was unexpected. The information about partners, are people aware of the partners? And over 77% said yes. That's not surprising. That's around what we'd expect. People look at our website and it's easy to find out about partners. And also satisfaction around OpenChain is not super surprising. We know that people were happy. It's just wonderful to see that they're usually very happy indeed. What is more surprising is as we go down through the stack, we find things like the recommendation of OpenChain to other companies. Over 84% are planning or would recommend it to other companies, which is very, very high indeed. And that means that what you're doing as a community, what we're doing as a project seems to be working. Where things get very surprising is regards to primary interests and actions. About 15.6% of respondents want to be listed as an OpenChain conforming program. That's why they're here. About 34% are conducting health checks of a compliance program in an organization. And around 50% are doing something else. So we have a terrific uptick in engagement in OpenChain. We have a very positive response on people's experience in OpenChain. And we have a very positive intention to tell others about OpenChain. But around half of the companies in our ecosystem aren't working on conformance or health checks right now. They're up to something else. We don't know what that is yet, and we'll have to do more research to find out. The use of our conformance web app is interesting too. So we had almost 22% of people using it for conformance, and we had 18.8 for health check of programs, but we had about 31% not using it. That's expected, and 28% not applicable. Again, this is an area where we might want to explore further with questions. I suppose the biggest question is, if around 50% of people are not working on health checks or conformance right now, and 28% don't find the web app applicable, what precisely are they doing? We'll have to dig into this to find out more, especially because these are the same parties that are very satisfied with the project and planning to talk to others about it. The good news is that while some of the new entrants into our community, it's not quite clear what they're doing precisely, their experience has been very positive. For example, if they were using the web app, we have a lot of good responses on very good or excellent or satisfactory. And the not applicable, of course, applies to the parties doing something else. Now, a very interesting thing on the output of getting help to conform with OpenChain, around 60% of respondents would like help maybe in the future. 1/3 simply don't want help, and a smaller percentage, 6.7%, do want more help. This indicates that we're providing the support that people need. And the only question is, what is the trigger for people who want help maybe in the future to seek it? We have to make sure that the help is there for them. Now, we ask questions outside of OpenChain around automation. And we had some really interesting responses here. So how easy is it to understand the value of automation? And a lot of the responses are very good or excellent. How easy is it to understand the availability of tooling? Suddenly things change. Very good is the majority, but we're dropping down to satisfactory. How easy is it to understand the availability of proprietary tooling? That's easier than open source tooling. I guess this comes down to marketing budgets. When it comes to open source tooling, perhaps you have to do more discovery, where proprietary tooling, their marketing teams do it for you. And here's a good one. How easy is it to understand interoperability in automation? Not great. Fair and satisfactory seem to be where a lot of people are at. So in short, in a general big view, people understand automation is valuable. It's okay to learn about open source solutions. It's pretty easy to learn about proprietary solutions. But a lot of work needs to be done in understanding interoperability in automation solutions. Now, obviously, we're making progress here. Our reference tooling group has over 80% awareness from our people who did the survey. But we have to bridge the interoperability gap. Right, let's talk about interoperability options in a little more details. So when it comes to the interoperability options in automation, these are the exact numbers we came up with. And you can see that we do really have a problem here. I'm going to ask you in a minute what you think we should do there. We're nearly at the end of the survey, so I'll finish the survey first. Let's talk about specific responses. Do people want more support for SPDX? Over 80%, yes. Do people want to see more interoperability for tools? Over 96%, yes. Do people want to see interoperability between open source and proprietary tools? Almost 85%, yes. So in other words, interoperability and software bill of materials are front of mind, and that's where improvement needs to be focused. Okay, how about standards themselves? How easy is it to understand standards around open source compliance outside of license compliance? So here we're talking about security, export control, and so on. And the answer is okay, but it's not great. Would people like to see more information around security and export control in OpenChain? Yes, quite simply. So we have a situation where, just like with tooling, people are having trouble with applying standards or understanding the standards available in the multiple domains. So this is where we have to do a lot of work. I actually wanted to pause here and go back to the interoperability around open source compliance questions. Is anyone here from the tooling group? If there's no one from the tooling group, that's understandable. It's very early in Europe and a lot of the people are from Europe. It sounds like it might be a suggestion to send to the tooling group to work further on interoperability explanations, that people know that there's tools out there, they just don't know how they work together. And that work could also support using standards outside of license compliance. Oh, hey, Marcel, I saw you just joined. Just to bring you up to speed, I was looking at these survey results for OpenChain, and we got some really interesting results regarding tooling. So when it comes to automation around open source compliance, people understand the value, but they have some difficulty discovering the open source tools. They're okay with discovering the proprietary tools, but interoperability in automation is quite difficult to understand. So they are aware of the open source reference tooling group, huge response there. But basically interoperability seems to be where people are most confused and would most like help. And that seems to be something very useful for us to do. People want to know more about how to use software bill of materials and to get more support on interoperability explicitly. And they also want the same deal when it comes to other standards. For instance, they want to see more information about security and export control in OpenChain, which we're working on. Mark is the chair of the specification group, working on an initiative to make a security guidance document for OpenChain. But the low-hanging fruit for us right now seems to be interoperability around automation. And that's something I'll be sending to the tooling group as an output of suggested activity, something to look at. Alrighty. Just pausing here to see if there's any questions. If there's no question, we're going to dive into the Supplier Education Pack. So the Supplier Education Pack is ready, and it has 4 pieces. One piece is the open source software guide created by our Japanese work group and available in multiple languages. This is, in essence, and I'll just resize this so it's easy to see on the screen. This is a way for us to introduce open source at the very core level. What open source is, why does it have benefits, supply chain issues, and so on. It's the big picture to get people started. The second part of our pack is a strategic overview of OpenChain. And this is basically the compact slide deck explaining OpenChain. So it has slides which explore the big picture and then talk about the software supply chain and how we fix friction points. In other words, it places OpenChain into your supply chain management perspective. Then there's another slide deck, which is more specifically about how OpenChain works. And this particular slide deck is very familiar to people who have followed the OpenChain project. It sets the big picture, defining the requirements. Then it guides people through what we do. It guides people into our community and our various solutions of how we address things. So this is very much the, okay, now you get that open source is important. Now you get that supply chain management is important. Here's implementation, and here's the global community that does it. Nice and simple. And finally, the Supplier Education Pack includes our reference training slides, which of course provide the foundation for a training program for any company of any size. And that's the current pack. It's been completed now for a little bit of time. I sent it to the main list and I got some really positive feedback in direct mail, including from service providers to other companies who thought that it was looking nice and complete. But I wanted to see if you've got any feedback, if you've had any chance to look at it and any thoughts beyond what we've already discussed. Okay, if there's no extra thoughts on this, I'm going to release it worldwide tomorrow. And I'm going to put that very prominently on our website, I think. So I'm looking at having it available pretty much around the splash page of the website. The goal here is for customer companies to be able to say to any supplier, look, just download this pack, get started. We want you to look at using this standard. And this will probably go to some specific teams in most companies. Okay, so I'm just going to pull up the note I had on, IT sourcing and digital legal teams are the target audiences here. And I wanted to check if you think that those are the right teams for targeting with the message on these slides and how we, quotation marks, sell these slides. So IT sourcing and digital legal team. That's essentially then sales and legal. All right. If there's no feedback on that beyond what we've got, then this is going live. The last thing I wanted to throw us open to was way back to the beginning, OpenChain and security. And this goes to the point that we saw in the survey here. Standards around open source compliance outside of license compliance are only so-so. Most people feel it's all right, and enough people feel that it's fair or poor for it to be a concern. And the vast majority of people surveyed explicitly wanted a guidance on security and export control. So Mark, chair of specification, has begun work on this space. I wanted to check if there are any volunteers who might be willing to explicitly assign themselves to assist on this matter. I'll also be asking the local work groups and the mailing lists, of course, but I just wanted to pause and see if there's anyone who has domain knowledge that can help us here. Alrighty, if not, that's fine. We'll search elsewhere, but I just want to make very clear that you're super welcome to help us with this. And it's obviously a very important next step for this project. So I'd love that to be on your radar. Those are all of the major items I wanted to talk through today to try to bring things together. The other news items are that our China work group plans to meet on the 23rd of this month. And I'm planning to set up German and US work group meetings for later in this month or very early May at the latest. If you're based in or have sufficient footprint in Germany or the US, your help would be much appreciated. I'll be sending emails to the list to get the scheduling done on this. And to end, we are doing really well in terms of getting out there to people and beginning to bring in more people on conformance. But it's clear from our survey that there's some big lifting we can do and probably should do to help the market. Interoperability around things like automation is a huge gap in the market space. And people are having a lot of trouble understanding how to tie automation together to make their processes work. That's a big problem. Another is people really, really want more guidance on how OpenChain fits into domains apart from license compliance. And we probably need to answer that question to make it easier for companies just in general to adopt OpenChain. We're working on it, but I think in the next global work team call, we'll probably have Mark do a presentation on it and maybe even start editing the new document so we just get it done. And with that, I pause for any other business. Okay.
Shane,
Marcel.
just a question. Let's say you put the this 4-pack to the OpenChain splash page, and
Yes.
then for the suppliers. Then what if they have some questions? How do they reach the community, or do they just come and join the calls, or is there, because at the moment there's no, let's say, chat for them. There's the Slack, but like,
Right.
how is that the way for them to ask any questions?
At the moment, we've got Slack, and then we've got the other ways to contact us page, which basically puts them into scheduling for calls with the project. The other option is they go to community and they can see the community. But Jari, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Maybe literally in the exact same part of the website, like in the same window where it has download our supplier pack, we need to have a click here to get help.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take that as an action item. Basically, I'm thinking that I'll put it here somewhere around the very beginning where we already have our main graphic. We'll have something there for the supplier pack, and maybe we'll have 2 buttons. Download the pack, get help with the pack.
Yeah, because I think it would be great for, I don't know, some supplier, if it comes, maybe not as a surprise for them, but anyway, that it might be a lot of new things for them anyway. It would be great if they can, easy way to get some help.
I'm on it, definitely.
And another question then is like, okay, the edX, is going to put the training available, in a few weeks. Is the GitHub then the way to, I don't know, if we find some errors or typos or whatever there, like, or what's the way to, fix things or make some suggestions there?
Yeah, the GitHub should be the way. So what my current plan is, suggestions for changing it are welcome, is that as soon as LF Training has the material they're giving to edX, I'm going to ask them for that exact material and submit it into a new project repository on GitHub, and then direct everything towards iterating there.
Yeah.
But we don't have that repository yet because we were editing on a Google Doc because they wanted a single document for now.
Yeah, I know.
Brilliant questions. Thank you.
That is early morning for me, come on.
You're obviously on a roll. The rest of the day is going to be amazing.
I do some, snow sports today. It was snowing yesterday, so.
Ah, excellent. Well, please enjoy it, and please have a safe day as well. And take care, everyone. Thank you for your time. Much appreciated.
Shane, I have only one hint. So sorry for joining late, but I had some troubles with my Zoom, luckily, because I was there an hour earlier, because now we have daylight saving time, and it seems that my calendar didn't update that to the new timing. And yesterday I was also in the same, I had an invitation in my calendar, OpenChain Global Work Team meeting, and there were a lot of people, but no Shane joined. And now I ask myself, if several people have the same issue than I have, that, well, our calendars are still puzzled. Yes. And you sent around this this global calendar. I think it might make sense to send around in the mailing list, please delete all your calendar entries and reset to the plan that you to the calendar that you sent around, because I'm not sure, was there a meeting yesterday?
No, the only meeting was today, based on the global.
Okay, because we were, I think,
oh my gosh,
7-8 people were there yesterday, and today I was also, I had to join at 7, And then because I had some trouble, I tried with the Zoom client, and now I just by hazard I joined now. And say, okay, it's 1 hour later, and yeah, so I luckily got this information. So perhaps it might make sense to inform again. Please delete all your existing entries if you have some. I will do so now. I will delete all this stuff, and will use your global calendar to reorganize my meetings.
All
Just
right.
as a hint.
Put that around. Obviously, there seems to have been some kind of situation where when the meetings were deleted from the old calendar invites, for some reason, they didn't delete from people's clients, which is not great. Because when the meetings were deleted on our calendars, they should have automatically deleted from everyone else's. But I'm going to send an email to everyone saying just delete all the calendar invites, just add the global calendar, and it's done.
That would be cool. And as I said today, I had the meeting in there, but it was 1 hour earlier, so it seemed also that daylight saving time was not recognized by my calendar. So it might be that I was not the only one that joined this morning. So that we're there, but not at the same time. And that would be a pity.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the calendar invite yesterday is a weird one, because that doesn't fit our schedule at all. I wonder how that invite was orphaned like that. My goodness. I'm going to ask, I'm going to look into it personally, and I'm also going to ask Jenny to double check that our previous admin and so on didn't send calendar invites using her personal account, you know, her LF account. So there's no trailing invites left. And I'll tell the community, please just delete all your calendar invites, just add the global calendar and so on. Marcel, thanks for.
Yeah, it would be nice to have the community together at the same time in the same place. Yeah.
It would
be a pity. Yeah.
No, we're going to get this fixed. This will be fixed for the next call.
Okay. Was it Nicole? Like we were on a call a couple of weeks ago, like 1 hour early.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's I hi everyone. Anyway, I also set my alarm clock today to join at 7, and then I remembered our last encounter with the calendar and checked the Google Calendar, and then I went to bed again, and then I was late today. So.
Yeah, for me 7 or 8 doesn't make any difference because I wake up, 6:30 at minimum, sometimes even earlier. So.
Oh, I'm really an owl. I sleep until lunchtime if you let me.
Oh, you miss the best hours of the day.
I know. I love getting up early, going to the mountains or going for a run or anything, but at the moment it's so cold outside, I have no motivation to leave the house.
Yeah, that's right.
Fair enough.
Well, I'm really sorry that a bunch of people turned up at an orphaned calendar invite yesterday, and I'm going to absolutely make sure this doesn't happen again. So I'm going to communicate today to everyone: just delete all your invites, just add the global calendar. And I'm also
Shane, I think you already did it, but I think the people still need to that we have to do something in our calendars, is because you provided all the stuff. So if you really take the global calendar, you have no problems. But if you still rely on the existing stuff that is in our calendars, then you might be wrong. Yeah. So everyone needs to do something on his side, and not you. Just as
everyone, I need 60 seconds of your time. All righty. Thank you very much, and let's talk again soon, everyone. Take care. Be well.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care now.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.